Thank you very much. You are welcome to the Iphc congregating at Jerusalem Media Briefing. We are really grateful for making out your time to come and listen to what we are saying today. Suffice to say, what we are going to say today may be the last in terms of what we are saying, because I think we have reached a stage where we need to stop talking and we need to start acting. To the children of our Father in South Africa and SADC countries, to all South Africans and the South African society in general, I greet you all in the name of God Almighty. Peace be unto you all. In March this year, we took the streets of Pretoria in a peaceful yet landmark march, which brought thousands of our congregants to the headquarters of the South African Police Service to present a memorandum of demands, complaints, and grievances to the office of the Minister of Police, General Begite. Despite the commitments made by police management on the day of our protest, which appeared to have been a good start, we must say it promised to be a good start when we started and after presenting the memorandum. The response we have had so far, however, has been very poor. With regards to the information, evidence, and supporting documents we have been asked to provide to the SAPS personnel responsible for the implementation of our memorandum, and we duly did. The progress made on the cases we open and that we have presented to the top management of the police has been very lackluster. Now, following the presentation of our memorandum and acceptance thereof, we were assigned a divisional commissioner, Major General Mohale, who is spearheading the implementation of that memorandum of agreement. We have on several occasions forwarded information that we believe would be helpful for them to investigate the cases and in actual fact make arrests, because our demand was not for the police management to actually investigate, because they have had enough time to investigate, and they have had enough opportunity to investigate, because as we have said, some of the cases actually were sitting and gathering dust in the safes for over 2 years. So our march and protest to the office of the Minister of Police was not to negotiate investigation or to look into the matter, was in actual fact to act with immediate effect as we have expressed ourselves. So what we expected as we demanded was in actual fact to make arrests. But to date, no single arrest has been made. We have evidence here where on several occasions we have, in actual fact, maybe before I even say what the evidence is all about, we agreed that the police management will return to us within 7 days following the presentation of the memorandum. That never happened. On the 6th of April, we had to write the letter to the Minister of Police to lay a complaint that the first deadline has not been met. The second deadline was 30 days. Today, in actual fact, we are exactly 3 months since the march, and nothing has happened. So we are writing emails to General Mohale with no responses. Instead, we only received about 2 reports. The first reports we received on the 19th of May is just the profile and the status of the cases. And the second report we received on the 6th of June, it was also just the status and the cases of those reports. We don't want the status and the cases, so we want actual arrest. They have had enough time to investigate, to do these things and so forth. So what we demanded was arrest, but nothing has happened. So we are very concerned and worried about the manner in which police management has treated us. In actual fact, we believe that we are being undermined, we are being taken for granted, and also we are not taken seriously, and therefore we are just being managed. All these reports, 2 reports that we have received so far, we are just being managed. We received 1 letter from the National Commissioner, General Fani Masemula, and then to say we acknowledge your memorandum, and the minister will engage you at the time that you'll be notified. But it's 3 months now. Nothing has happened. So we haven't moved from the belief that in actual fact, the wrongness and corruption of these police, the manner in which they are comfortable in executing their tasks or lack thereof, really comes from the top. Because if top management was really knuckling these police, they would be doing their job. For background purposes, and what necessitated the landmark march on the 28th of March this year to the Ministry of Police stemmed from the shenanigans, as we have painfully expressed so, being orchestrated by rogue and corrupt police individuals who are colluding with our detractors of the Iphc congregating at Jerusalem with specific intent. This I'm going to emphasize. All these complaints we have about the police, they are colluding with our detractors. As you would know, that the church is divided into 3 groups with 2 factions contesting for leadership, to be the leaders of the church. Now, there's nothing else. All these shenanigans that are happening and malfeasance that are happening within the police, of course, not all the police, but some of the police who are acting in the manner that they are. There's nothing else other than the intent to take the head of our father. So their intention, there's nothing else that they do other than to take the head of our father. And we said this before, that in actual fact, there's no interest in all this infighting in the church, other than in actual fact to take the head of our father. So therefore, what happened, if you recall, in the march that we organized in March, we placed in the front line the men's brigade of the church. My colleague is just reminding me now. That men's brigade roared the streets of Pretoria. So this particular point that you are mentioning right now, I think we have reached a point where we are now tired of this rogue police orchestrating tricks and making stories about cases that are not there, trumped up charges and so forth, with the only intent, and that is to take the head of our father. So I will just give a minute or so. Mr. Ntuli is a member of the men's brigade, which we call manpower in our church, who's going to express in a few seconds exactly what is the feeling of the members, and in particular the men's brigade of our church. Dr. Ntuli, a few words that you want to say about the meeting you have had and the expressions and the feelings about this intent of taking the head of our father.
Thanks, Pastor Ndala, for giving me this opportunity. As the members of the Iphc, we are aware of that our father's enemies are colluding with corrupt and dishonest police to take our father's head. We know that they want his head. Should our father be killed, we know it is them. Should they kill him, a war will have been declared and they will know who we are. That we are religiously people regarded as humble and quiet should not be mistaken for cowardness or weaknesses. We are human beings after all. This is not just a warning, but a statement of promise, so be warned. Kantatwaren.
Thank you, Dr. Ntuli.
Thanks, Pastor.
Thank you. So that's basically the message that comes from the men's brigade in particular, and the children of our father generally, because we cannot spend a week in, week out with the threats of our father's life being threatened. So we don't take light, we don't take kind to that, and therefore, what we are saying is, as I've said in my introduction, probably this will be the last media briefing where we speak about the roughness and the corruption of the police. So if there are no arrests with the efforts made by the police management, top management, we'll arrest these rascals ourselves. That is a promise, it's not a threat. Despite our well-documented ways of protest, because we've been saying these things before, which culminated in the protest march and the handing over of the memorandum to SAPS management, those unscrupulous police individuals have not faced consequences, and they are continuing with their malfeasance. The brazen culprits are known to these dishonest investigation officers, but they have so far handled the culprits with kid gloves, even endlessly negotiating for arrests, despite clearing an overwhelming prima facie evidence. But we are not surprised. There is a lot that we can assure you and that we can tell you. There's a lot that we know about the shenanigans playing out out there in the police service. A day will come where we'll pull a Fraser and heads will roll. For example, we know that in the midst of the Iphc leadership succession battle, a helicopter landed at some spot in Cape Town, and brown envelopes exchanged hands there. So at the right platform and in the right forum, these issues we are talking about will be revealed. And such operation, we are made to believe, cannot happen without the approval at senior management level. Now that the leadership succession case has resumed, has to roll. If you didn't know, the leadership case that has stalled for some time, and with 6 years now in the offing, it has resumed. You will be updated as time progresses in that regard. So the time is ticking. The lackluster performance of this police appears not to be in the police service only, but also in the prosecution authority. In our media briefing in January, we expressly placed our trust and hope in the hands of the National Prosecution Authority, thinking that they are a clean apple in the rotten bag. As it stands, we have a strong belief that our detractors are colluding with enforcement agencies, including intelligence and hawks. We are not naive. In actual fact, this is what we must tell you today. We have not told you about this, but we are telling you today. Some of our phones are being backed. Some of the members that are close to our father at Iphc in Jerusalem, our phones, including mine, by the way, are backed. The fact that we have not reported this, it does not mean we are oblivious to it. We are very alive to it and conscious to it. It is 6 months since the Zimbabwe murder case was struck off the roll and referred for inquest. We were here in January, actual fact, reporting on the outcome of that case having been struck out of the roll. But to date, nothing has happened to that case, despite it being referred for inquest. We are blank as to the process on the matter and are clueless of what is happening. As it has always been the case, we are the ones that follow up on these cases and matters. And the law enforcement agencies, including the NPA in this case, are not saying anything or let alone keeping us abreast on the case. The we have been the police, the NPA is traversing on the path. We have reached the stage where we have no option but to name and shame this rogue and corrupt police. We have reached that stage now. We are no longer the softies. we are aware that we are considered and regarded as a church. We are expected to be humble, to be good people. But as Mr. Ntuli said, we are human beings after all. We live in a country where we are citizens and where our rights are reserved in toto. Now we are saying we are tired, hence we said we are not going to speak anymore, but we think it's time that we name and shame these corrupt police and some of their cousins in the prosecution. The continued abuse of state resources by certain rascals hiding behind police uniform has become untenable, and it must come to an end. Now, we are going to share with you a few cases that are infested with malfeasance, and it will demonstrate, these cases will demonstrate the malfeasance that we are talking about, evidence that we are talking about. We are not talking about hearsay. As we've always said, in all our expressions, we are not talking about allegations that are baseless. We're talking about matters that we know for a fact, we have evidence, and we can provide evidence to that effect. So I'm going to give you a highlight of a few cases where these malfeasance are playing out. So there are many attempted others that we are not going to mention here. These are just the key ones that we want you to know about. The first case is case number 5904, 59/04/2022 is a theft case. We opened the case in April at Western Area Police Station, Western Area or Bekesdal. It is common cause that the then 42 accused in the Ziribeko murder case that has since been struck off the roll were church members affiliated to the Iphc congregation in Jerusalem. At the time of arrest, on the 11th of July, 2020, the church advanced funds to the then church member who was assisting with facilitating of bailing out the members who were arrested. And that person happened to be an advocate. When those 42 members were granted bail, we advanced as the church some funds to this former member to bail out those members on behalf of the church. When the matter was struck off the roll in December, this former member and advocate went behind the church's back and rushed to the court to cash out and receipted the funds that belonged to the church and helped himself out. Over 200,000 rand that he helped himself out with. This is a clear case of theft. The money doesn't belong to him. He was sent to do what he was supposed to do on behalf of the church. Since April, this man is not arrested, despite carrying a prima facie evidence. The case docket was submitted to the SPP on the 1st of June 2022, but nothing has happened to date. We can even confidently report that an arrest was negotiated many times. Now we are in June, from April. Why are they not arresting him? Why not? So this is one case where shenanigans are playing out. The second case is case 653/12/2020 and case 186/12/2020. Both cases are now consolidated. They were opened at Johannesburg Central. One was opened at Johannesburg Central Police Station, and one was opened at Litlabile Police Station in Northwest. So the two cases are consolidated into one under Warrant Officer Lekgolo Patrick Libya in Johannesburg. I mean, this case was opened in September last year, and another one was opened in December 2020. Nothing has happened on these cases, and this is a serious case of an attempt with a fake court order to access the church funds that are currently frozen in various bank accounts since 2017 when the leadership battle ensued. So why is Warrant Officer Libya not arresting the culprits? In actual fact, we are not the only ones who are interested in this case. The magistrate, the Johannesburg Magistrates Court, is actually very keen to know what is happening in this case, because the name of a magistrate or a judge was actually misused, because a fake court order under his name was used to go to the bank and attempt to access those funds. I mean, that's a very clear case of forgery and fraud. Why are arrests not made? The individuals, the culprits, are known where they are, where they live, where they stay, but no arrests are made in this regard. So Warrant Officer Lekgolo Patrick Libia, in actual fact, should answer as to why, as the public officer of the law, and not doing the job that he's supposed to be doing. Why is he negotiating for arrest and not arresting? The third case is case number 313/12/2021. It was opened at Sunnyside Police Station. The investigating officer there is Sergeant R.M. Mukhoto. The case has 5 counts of fraud and forgery, with prima facie evidence. A person forges a signature. That's one. A person goes and misrepresents the church by doing fake resolutions, fake mandates, right? Or invalid mandates and invalid resolutions. And that is a clear case of fraud. The signatures are there, the IDs are there, the bogus meetings that are held, the minutes are there, fake constitutions are there. What else is needed, right? So why is it taking this long for the person to be arrested? By the way, on this particular case, yesterday we got a message that the SPP, the senior public prosecutor, declines to prosecute this case. Why? And we were not advanced with any reasons. There's a clear case of fraud here. A signature was forged. A signature was forged. What else do you want? Why don't you want to proceed with prosecuting the matter for the parties to answer for themselves? Why is this matter not prosecutable according to them? So we want to say clear on this one. We are going straight to private prosecution. On this one, we are not sitting back. We are going straight to private prosecution. And we are preparing to proceed as such. And if needs be, we are ready to even employ international investigators. The fourth case, case number 10/05/2021. It was opened at Litlabile Police Station. By the way, when it comes to Litlabile Police Station, it's about 1 kilometer or 2 from our headquarters. But there's no relation whatsoever. We don't even want to hear anything from that police station. They've harassed us, they've harassed our father, they played out their shenanigans openly with no reason. I think we said this extensively in our previous briefing. So this case remained in the safe for 11 months, almost a year, gathering dust. It was only taken out of that safe only after we presented our memorandum in March. It was dusted off and referred for investigation by the Commercial Crimes Unit in Potchefstroom following our protest in March. Now, a new development in this case is that the SPP is delaying it by asking questions that are already provided for in 3 separate statements. I mean, I've never heard of a case that is open and you are told you need to amend or correct your statement 3 to 4 times. So now we're getting for the 3rd time questions from the SPP that we need to motivate, but those questions are questions that should be asked in court. Or is SPP already running a pre-court of this case? That is unfair, because what we have provided, the evidence we've provided, the statement we provided must be tested in court. Why are we running a pre-trial when there's a proper procedure to run in court. So that's where we are with this case. We are also saying to the prosecutor, if you are not prepared to prosecute on this matter, also we are going to go for private prosecution. Case number 5, case number 98/05/2021. It was open in Alberton police station. The investigating officer there is Pokongwane. In this case, a company is the accused, right, in the case. Out of 2 directors of the company, only 1 is charged. Why? Because the accused is the company. Why are the 2 directors not arrested, but only 1 is arrested and charged? Why? Where is impartiality and fairness in this regard? So this is where the shenanigans are playing out. The nature of arrest in the case as well was very questionable. 9 to 10 months when the case has already been postponed due to lack of evidence. Then there are other trumped-up charges that are proposed to the prosecutor. That there's another case that the same individual is suspected to be involved in, so that other case must be consolidated with this one. That is nonsense. We refused to say it can't be that a case that has gone 9 months into its trial, and then therefore there must be another case that must be brought. And that case was brought by those shenanigans. They brought an issue that some buses were stolen elsewhere. And whose buses? Those buses do not belong to any individual. Those buses belong to the church. So, and therefore, whose church are they talking about? Or which church? So, those are the shenanigans that are playing out in the open when it comes to the cases or the harassment and intimidation that is placed on us. In actual fact, even on this case, the witness, the state witness in the case, in the last 2 appearances, he came guarded by state police with a rifle, ready to be discharged, so to speak. But now, why the misuse or the abuse of state resources? What we did, we investigated that matter. That is the state witness in this case properly, right? Properly supported to have a police officer guarding her, right? The court, the Palm Beach Magistrate Court said, no, we never gave that permission, and we don't know that there's a state police that is guarding a state witness. We, in actual fact, wrote a complaint to the Palm Beach Magistrate Court. So we haven't received any response to date, but the complaint is here as evidence. So the court knew nothing about it. So that's the abuse of state resources. As I've said, the investigation officer there is Officer Pokongwane. Now, on the very same case, almost a year now, the case is supposed to go on trial in August. One thing that we have mentioned in the past is that where these Trump-up charges, bogus cases are opened against us, in particular against our father and his aiders, the arrests are made hastily, without any evidence whatsoever. And those cases are over a year now with no evidence. But the arrests were made, the charges were effected, and they were out on bail. But on this case is almost, in actual fact, over a year. It's over a year, and the investigation officers are still peddling through evidence that they need to present. After almost over a year, and when the date of trial is set down. So those are the shenanigans at play. The next case, case number 6, case 10207/2020, and case 444/03/02022. This is Acacia Police Station, known as Roslyn Police Station. This police station is in the same group as Litlabele Police Station. They do nothing with cases. Here's the case from 2020. We opened a case of defamation here. In 2020, nothing has happened. Even on the 2 reports that the top management in the police have sent to us is not even featuring there. Yet it was open in 2020, and yet they want us to be friendly and ask them, and for us to be patient, to say, yeah, these cases are complicated, take time and so forth. No, we're not going to do that. We are tired. So, Roslyn Police Station, if the police minister is listening or can get hold of this briefing, Litlabele Police Station and Roslyn Police Station are corrupt to the core, in as far as we are concerned. So, a serious investigation needs to happen in those 2 police stations. So, a case of theft and burglary was opened at Roslyn and investigated by Detective Msiza. So there's a Detective Msiza there who must also account and answer. Since March, nothing has happened on that case. In actual fact, they even called me personally. The burglary happened at this head office, actually. So instead of arresting the culprit, they wanted me to negotiate with the culprit for the culprit not to be arrested. I mean, that's the promotion of crime. That's not correct. So a culprit is a culprit. It must be, he or she must be arrested and taught a lesson. So why arrest should be negotiated, or culprits should negotiate? Culprits should not negotiate. And despite us having footage of that culprit committing burglary and theft here, but still that case has gone nowhere. The investigating officers have the tendency to deviate from what they need to do and do something else. That is why crime in this country will ever increase. That is why annually the crime statistics will increase in the manner that they do, because the police are not doing their job. They are doing the opposite. The law enforcement is full of corrupt police. We say that without fear of contradiction. Nothing has happened with this case and no feedback whatsoever. This is one of the troublesome police stations, as I've said. And we are saying, and I repeat, if arrests are not made, we are going to arrest these people ourselves. In what manner? Leave that to us. Case number 7, case 35904/2021. It was opened at the Senten police station. This is the case against our father in relation to the alleged death certificate matter. We pronounced on this case in April while we were at the Senten police station. Then it went to Alexandra Magistrate Court. The legal representative debated on the jurisdiction. They refused, probably because these shenanigans, they've got connections there. And then after almost a year, then they agreed, indeed, there's an issue of jurisdiction. Then it went to Pretoria Magistrate Court. It's been postponed, until now it is set for trial. But guess what? Guess what? For 14 months into this case, 3 or 4 weeks ago, 3 weeks to a month, a Captain Tobakhale from National Investigation Unit, in the company of 2 male and 1 female police, confronted the 2 accused whose charges were provisionally withdrawn on this same case. they were withdrawn while the case was still held in Alexandra. So this Captain Tobakale, with his 3 colleagues and one policewoman, this policewoman, by the way, always is seen accompanying either the legal representative or the state witnesses in the other Alberton case that I have mentioned, right? These are 2 separate cases. But this policewoman is seen to be in the company most of the time of the other case where the state witnesses attend, right? The Alberton one that I've mentioned. Now, this Captain Tobakale and his colleagues, they approach these 2 accused. These 2 accused that their charges have been provisionally withdrawn. I think one is from the mortuary, if I'm not mistaken. Then they say to this gentleman, you know what? Please cooperate with us. Furnish us with a statement implicating the big fish. Then this guy says, but no, who's the big fish? They said, no, man, the big fish, we mean the leader of Iphc. And then they said, I mean, you know there's issues in the Iphc. Which one? And then they say, they mention our father by the name, right? So then meaning that they are trying to influence this accused to finish a statement implicating our father. They say, no, we don't want you. We want a big fish. Give us a statement, and then we'll see how we work out your case, as it were. That's defeating the ends of justice. That's defeating the ends of justice by the same police that are supposed to be arresting. Now, they made a haste arrest in April last year. They don't have evidence against our father. Now, they rush and run in last minutes trying to gather evidence that will implicate our father directly. So, Minister of Police, the top management, National Commissioner, General Fani Masemula, please look into this matter. And this Captain Tobakale and those 3 colleagues of his must be investigated for defeating the ends of justice in this manner. And by the way, that case is going on trial next week. With this rogueness now, we don't know whether that case will be fair or not. The next case, last but one, case 2104-2022, it was opened at Brooklyn Police Station. I think we mentioned this case in January, in our media briefing in January, where the family of our father was chased and a gun was discharged at them, and then with an R5 rifle, I mean, with no threat to the police, they discharged this gun at our father's family. Then this Sergeant Matita, there's a Sergeant Matita there who was, in actual fact, he discharged the gun in the company of his colleague Mushala from K9 unit in Pretoria. Upon reporting this shooting, his superior refused to conduct an inquiry into this matter, let alone considering for the internal disciplinary inquiry with no grounds for refusal. I mean, how can such a sensitive and threatening incident, and then you don't even have an interest to have an inquiry about it, to say, you police officer, this is what you did with no threat to you, with no threat to even the, because in that incident, there was no threat at all. So why was the rifle discharged in the first place? And secondly, why did Sergeant Matida's superior refused to even conduct an internal disciplinary hearing, as it were? So those are the shenanigans that we are always complaining about. The last but not least case. On the 20th of January 2022, there was an incident where heavily armed members of the SEPs with public order policing marked Inyala rocked up at our church premises in Rabukala, reportedly intending to hand over a court order that got nothing to do with us. I think we fully reported on this incident in our January media briefing. The full names and ranks of the police officers were unknown to us. However, they were, amongst others, in the company of a Captain Mpuluke. So we did say we are naming today. So in no way these police can then be left out without accounting for the acts that they did.